Hi, I'm Mary Kopczynski, the CEO of Regulator. Welcome to this week's Regulatory Roundup. This week, there were 1,793 alerts from 388 unique U.S. regulators. That is out of the 1,500 that we're following. There were 491 financial alerts, 320 coronavirus alerts, 54 FinTech alerts, 14 of which were critical, and 15 cannabis alerts. The regulator of the week is the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. First, it published a letter clarifying national banks and federal savings associations' authority to participate in, get this, independent node verification networks, and they can use stablecoins to conduct payment activities and other bank permissible functions. So for those of you in crypto or blockchain, this is a big leap forward. Then the OCC invited comments on a proposed rule having to do with bank real estate. The proposed rule would clarify standards for determining when real estate is necessary for the transaction of an institution's business. Basically, it's a part of the OCC's efforts to eliminate unnecessary regulation, and they identified this as one that probably needs to be revised in the new normal. For those of you deep in the weeds on capital requirements, the OCC, along with the Fed and the FDIC, issued a rule for TLAC, total loss absorbing capital, that comes live on April Fool's Day of this year. But believe me, it's not a prank, it's final. The topic of the week, also inspired by the OCC and arguably the week's gem in our Regulator Fight Club segment, is FinTech charters. This week, the acting comptroller of the currency used a report from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau about the need for federal charters for financial technology or FinTech companies as evidence that the OCC's contentious FinTech charter was a great move. Also this week, the Conference of State Bank Supervisors sued the OCC, trying to stop them from approving their very first charter application. Moving on to Compliance Corner, it's here! PPP2! SBA and Treasury announced the reopening this week and issued new guidance. For those of you in the very complex area of swap margin, the CFTC was busy this week issuing a number of clarification points for the major swap participants having to do with exactly when margin will need to be collected. For those of you following SROs, Freddie announced again this week that mortgage rates dropped to the lowest in history. That's like the 9th time I've reported that since this pandemic started. And for those of you following the LIBOR transition, the Intercontinental Exchange Benchmark Administration launched the ICE term SONIA reference rates as a benchmark for use in financial instruments. It is designed to measure expected SONIA rates over 1, 3, 6, and 12-month periods. Cyber was a big topic this week. The North American Securities Administrators Association, or NASA, reminds everyone that if you were hacked in any way, especially in light of the big SolarWinds hack that impacted Microsoft at the end of the year, typically you need to alert all of your state regulators in addition to federal authorities. So don't forget to confirm your obligations there. In good news, the DOJ said that after investigating, it seems the hack was limited to under 3% of the federal government, and there is no indication that classified systems were impacted. Also, the Conference of State Bank Supervisors and the U.S. Secret Service released a ransomware self-assessment tool for non-bank financial institutions. They previously had put something out for banks, so this is for non-banks. In our fine tracker, the winner this week is Deutsche Bank for a whopping $120 million fine by the SEC for violations of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act that happened with a third-party vendor. And finally, in state rules, the governor of New York is trying to pass rules allowing mobile app sports wagering, as well as legalization of adult use cannabis, all to increase its tax pool. That's it this week for Regalytics US Alerts. See you every Wednesday morning on LinkedIn and YouTube.